How's it going, guys? Will here, and as some of you may know, recently I decided to switch over to the iPad system for a lot of my work, and seeing as I am a digital minimalist, I'm pretty specific about how I do this. So today, I wanted to go over what I keep on my iPad Pro, how I use it, why I use it, and some other considerations too. First off, let's talk about the iPad. This is the 2016 iPad Pro that I ended up picking up simply to trial the system, but so far, I'm really enjoying it. I wanted something that I could use as a personal assistant for when I'm doing my work, but I also wanted something that I could use as a media device, as I wanted something that I could conveniently use anywhere that was a little bit bigger than my phone, so I decided the iPad seemed to be a good fit. Now, onto the apps. First of all, a big thing that I make an effort of doing is to make good use of the stock apps. This is a pretty critical step of digital minimalism for me, as it not only keeps things simple and clean, so I always try to make good use of the stock apps whenever I possibly can. I tend to use Safari for browsing the web and the music app to play my music. However, probably the most used stock app for productivity is simply the Notes app. I now use this to write all of my notes and scripts for my videos, and it works so well on the iPad Pro. I love the fact that I can connect the Magic Keyboard in order to be able to type faster, and while it is a separate piece, it's not too cumbersome for me to be able to take around with me, as it is pretty small and light. I also like the sketching feature, so if I want to sketch a reminder or like a shot idea, then I can do so using the touchscreen on the iPad. Now, this is still rough sketching because I still don't have a stylus. However, I am looking, and the fact that the Notes app syncs across all my other Apple devices is simply an added bonus that helps keep everything centralized when I'm working. If you remember, I used to use Google Docs, and honestly, I've stopped using that altogether nowadays. I've just found that the Notes app works well for me. It's on all of my devices, it works well offline, and I can easily sort things to keep my working area clean. So while I could go back to Google Docs, the Notes app simply saves space on my iPad, and I slightly prefer it anyway, so it works out nicely. The next big stock app I like to make use of is the Reminders feature, and really, this is because of the iPad. I absolutely love how they can be displayed as a widget on the front page, and because of this, and how I basically always have my iPad on when I'm working, I always know what task I should be working on. Granted, the stock Reminders app is probably not as good as some of the third-party ones I've used in the past, like Productive or Todoist, but I've found that as long as I keep it organized, I can clearly lay out and quickly check off tasks, meaning that I'm first of all more likely to do it, and also more likely to stay on task. After this, we're moving on to some non-stock apps, the first and arguably most used being Adobe Lightroom for iPad OS. If you've been following me for a while, then you may have heard me talk about how my goal was eventually to switch almost entirely to photo editing on the mobile side of things, and while I could almost get there with the iPhone app, it was still missing some stuff, so I could never fully switch. However, with the iPad app, it is almost at that point. Granted, I still can't fully switch, and I'll be talking about why, but now I'm editing probably 80% of my photos on this iPad. It works great with raw photos, has loads of great tools for photo manipulation and color work, and I can use this to do most of what I want with my photo editing. As I said, I tried some raw photos from both Panasonic and Canon cameras, and it runs them really nicely. But what if I want to do something a little bit more intensive? Well, this is where the next app comes in. Adobe Photoshop is a more powerful photo editing app that's been super popular on the desktop for many years now, and I recently found out there's an iPad app, so I've been giving it a go over the past few weeks, and honestly, it does need a lot more work. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting it to be perfect, and I love the way that it works with Adobe Lightroom. However, it does still lack a lot of those really cool features that I like about the desktop version of Photoshop, so I can't fully switch over just yet. Moving on, we have Adobe Sketch, which is another piece of Adobe software, and again, I use this almost daily. Sketch is essentially the iPad version of Adobe Illustrator, and it's what I've been using to do all my sketching and planning on this iPad. I started out using it just as a tool to sketch my thumbnails, but then this quickly progressed into it being used to sketch storyboards and wireframes for complex shots, and now I constantly use it whenever I'm making content. At this point, I've tried several apps on the iPad for sketching, including Clip Studio and Autodesk Sketchbook, but this is by far my favorite for what I do. And now I'm at the point where I'm seriously considering some type of stylus so I can do some better sketches. Yeah, it's honestly become that much of my video planning process. After this, we're moving more away from creative application, more into the media side of things. But first of all, we have my messaging app of choice, which is Telegram. My messaging app of choice other than iMessage is Telegram. A lot of my friends are on Android and use this app, so I have it installed so I can chat to them. I do also like the file transfer system. In fact, while I was on Android, I actually used this app to transfer lossless photos to my phone so I could post them to Instagram. Overall, this is an essential app for me, and while it can be distracting, I do keep it on here. After this, we're fully moving on to the media consumption apps, starting out with YouTube. This is probably my most used media consumption app, as I now pretty much exclusively watch YouTube videos on this iPad. I love watching videos on a nice big screen as it does put less strain on my eyes, but as it's an iPad, it's still portable. I don't tend to respond to comments on this is mostly done on my computer. The YouTube app on my iPad is strictly for watching. Following this, we have iPlayer, which is another media app I've been using to watch some BBC programs recently, similar to YouTube, but just used less. The final media consumption app I have on my iPad app is Netflix. I don't really use it more than once a week. As I've said before, I much prefer YouTube, but still, I do enjoy some of the content on here in my downtime. In terms of games, I personally don't keep any on my iPad. Honestly, I find they're a little bit distracting when I'm trying to get my work done, so I tend to keep games on either dedicated devices like my Nintendo Switch, or my phone if I want some entertainment on the go. So yeah, generally this, not a gaming device. And that's it. As I said, I'm pretty careful about what I put on this thing, so there really doesn't tend to be that much. I never want to be at the point where I have an app on here when another app I already have installed would do the job just fine, as it clutters up my environment, and I actually find this makes me more distracted in my digital life, which is probably the main reason I'm a digital minimalist. I like being able to be focused when I'm using my devices, and being really fanatic and totally in control of the apps I have on it is very important for me. Now, this may not be the case for all digital minimalists. Some may simply just make good use of cloud services, or like try to limit it to one ecosystem. But I found that this personally works well for me, and because of this, I'm able to enjoy my iPad more. Alright guys, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.